I'd like you to imagine watching an island the size of a small American suburb being bombarded by the world's largest Navy and best Air Force for 74 days straight, with over 40 million pounds of ordnance. How confident would you feel invading that little speck on the map? William J. Bryan, from a small farming town in Ohio, was very confident. He said, quote, "We landed in the fifth wave, which was just 17 minutes after the first. I was a cocky young kid. I was 18 then. When we were coming in on the landing vehicle, some of the older fellows that had been in combat were pretty solemn. And I said, 'What are you all so worried about? There's not going to be a living Japanese soldier on the island, the way they have been bombing it. It's going to be a snap,' end quote." Bryan then said, "It was at that moment a piece of shrapnel hit the side of the boat." He continued, quote, "I thought, God, they're shooting at us. I hunkered down a little bit. The Amtrak was supposed to take us to the far end of the island, and then we were supposed to start moving north. But then we hit the beach. The driver dropped the ramp and said, 'This is it, boys. This is as far as we go.' We had to go into the lines and get the wounded, and then bring them back to be evacuated. It was complete hell," end quote. Why was this unassuming Pacific island, which most U.S. citizens couldn't find on a map, worth so many dead Marines? By late 1944, U.S. had taken Saipan, Tinian, and Guam. From there, B-29 superfortresses could bomb the Japanese mainland, including Tokyo. But Japanese fighters from the airfields on Iwo Jima could intercept those bombers and provide Tokyo with a 2-hour radar warning. So, with Iwo Jima secure, the U.S. would not only eliminate that threat, but also provide a forward base for fighter escorts to accompany the B-29s. General Tadamichi Kuribayashi put it bluntly, quote, "The life of the nation depends upon the Battle of Iwo. Do not expect to return alive," end quote. To this end, the island was fortified with over 11 miles of interconnected tunnels linking underground fortresses, bunkers, and hidden artillery. Unlike other battles, Kuribayashi forbade banzai charges, which served only to waste resources and manpower. The Japanese hoped to make the cost of taking these seemingly insignificant islands so high that U.S. public opinion would force the government into diplomatic negotiations. E.J. Haynes recounts the ferocity that the Marines faced simply getting to the shore. Quote, "After the gate was lowered and we struggled out on the beach, I looked back at the coxswain. His face had turned white as he revved up the engine of the boat and backed off from the shore. A fellow squad member told me that the boat next to us took a direct hit from a mortar shell and that body parts were flying in all directions. I was glad I didn't see that," end quote. But there were things that no one could avoid seeing, as detailed by Harry Reeks, who wrote, quote, "There were so many wounded and dead lying on the beach, you couldn't take a step without stumbling over one," end quote. And the fighting didn't really begin until the Marines got up the beachhead. Unlike on other islands, General Kuribayashi waited until the beach was full of Marines before properly resisting. Another strategy designed to inflict maximum casualties. Snipers in hidden positions littered the island. Gunner Johnson writes, quote, "I got hit on the evening of March 12th, just 3 days before my 19th birthday. I was hit in the abdomen inside and was lying in a foxhole waiting for a corpsman to come and help me. A couple of our guys came over to check on us, and one of them, Private Joe Perry, got hit in the throat by a Japanese sniper. The other Marine, Platoon Sergeant Joseph Julian, was killed instantly and fell on top of me in the foxhole. Eventually, they got the sniper and brought a jeep up there, loaded us all up, and took us to a field hospital near the airfield," end quote. Unlike most of World War II, the fighting was inch by inch, cave to cave. James Crodell details the nightmare, saying, quote, "The Japanese would enter a cave before us and walk through their network of tunnels, then reappear behind us after we entered the cave. We received gunfire from the front and from the rear. We learned to blast each cave with the aid of flamethrowers. When Marines with flamethrowers approached a cave, I heard the Japanese scream and yell in their native language in a pleading manner, as if they were saying, 'Please don't.' They knew what damage a flamethrower could do," end quote. There's an anecdote often associated with Stalin. The death of one man is a tragedy, the death of millions is a statistic, end quote. And yet, in every war, the battlefields are littered with personal tragedies. James Crodell recounts one of his personal tragedies while talking about his hometown friend, Billy. Quote, I finally came ashore with Billy Joe Jordan right there by my side, both of us exhausted. We crawled on a surface of soft, black lava sand, which gave way and made every movement a lingering effort. We crawled around disabled machinery, guns, jeeps, and bodies of the dead and wounded. All this time, we were being fired upon and couldn't return fire. Billy Joe and I sought shelter in a huge bomb crater. He and I had been talking quietly when Billy Joe fell over. I knelt down and took off his helmet. A sniper had shot him directly between the eyes, out of the edge of his helmet. I held him in my arms. I cried and cried, as I had never cried before. I marked his location as a fallen Marine for the stretcher bearers by sticking the bayonet of his rifle into the ground near his body and placing his helmet on top. I hated to leave him, but I had to rejoin my unit as they moved forward." End quote. By the end of the 36-day battle, 26,000 Marines became casualties, and 6,821 of them were dead. Of the 21,000 Japanese defenders, only 216 were taken alive. To this day, it's the bloodiest battle the Marines have ever fought.